What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, and this week I'm coming to you from Texas where I'm visiting family, and so I apologize for any background noise and the different surroundings here, but lots of exciting news stories to go over here this week. We got stuff from some new supercars coming out here. We also have some stuff about Mazda potentially working on a new sports car eventually, and a few other things here. But also, before I get into the news, I also want to mention that I did do a separate video covering the Corvette E-Ray, which is probably one of the biggest news stories here this week. So definitely check that out if you haven't already, and that'll also autoplay after this video is done. But anyway, getting into the first news story here this week. So last week, Mazda debuted their first rotary engine in like 11 or 12 years with, the MX-30 range extender version they just came out with. And so you can check out last week's video if you want to see that, if you happen to miss that. But don't think that them coming back with a rotary means that there's any kind of rotary sports car coming anytime soon. It may come eventually, but not anytime soon, because Autocar did an interview with Mazda's assistant manager of the powertrain development division, who said, "Rotary is our symbol. It's a dream of engineers at Mazda to have a sports car with a rotary. Now is not the time for that." And then he further explained how they need to electrify their core members of their lineup first, and then once that's done, then they can consider, whether they can justify a sports car for the brand beyond, the Miata MX-5, which of course will continue on for a new generation. But, as far as coming back with an RX-7, RX-8, something like that, that's gonna, have to wait to be seen. But, there have been some rumors in the past about how Mazda could be partnering up, how they have the partnership with Toyota and Lexus, and that could lead to some type of sports car. But it sounds like those rumors are unfounded, and at least as far as this person's concerned, Mazda's not doing anything, aside from the Miata. So, there's still chances maybe we'll get, there's been talk in the past about how a new Mazda sedan could come back that will be using this new rear-wheel drive based platform, and that could also underpin a new Lexus IS, and so it could be, something that Mazda and Lexus both get. We'll have to see about all that, but unfortunately it sounds like maybe sometime in the far off distant future we'll get some kind of rotary range extender Mazda RX-7 or RX-8 that comes back possibly, but as of right now and for the next several years, don't count on it. So interesting to hear that, and that kind of puts those rumors to rest for a little while at least. And while Mazda is busy electrifying their lineup, they are planning to inject some sportiness into it as well. So they just teased the new CX-90 once again that's coming on January 31st. And in this teaser here, they confirmed that the powertrain specs are actually going to be pretty sporty here. So they confirmed it will in fact run a 3.3 liter single turbo inline six that does 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque on premium fuel. Mazda is really good about rating things for premium fuel and for regular, so you know exactly what you're getting depending on what kind of fuel you're putting in it. And so it's a huge improvement over the Turbo 4 and the current CX-9. So that'll be really nice to see them, kind of going the opposite of the trend everyone else is following of downsizing everything. Mazda's upsizing here with their engines, which is crazy. And so the electrified component of that new engine is going to be a mild hybrid system that it'll use, just like its European luxury competitors, which all have the 48 volt stuff as well. And also like those competitors, it'll be putting the power to the road through a rear biased all-wheel drive system. It's a new rear-wheel drive platform basically, but will of course have all-wheel drive for basically everything, at least the SUVs here. And Mazda says though they have set it up for a performance-focused experience. So that's promising. They also say it's going to have the kinematic posture control system that first debuted on the 2022 Miata that I covered last year, where it kind of does a little bit of braking on the inside wheel to kind of give you a little bit of a, like torque vectoring kind of sensation almost. And so it's just nice though to hear that, the CX-90 is going to be their huge family hauler. It's going to be heavy and huge and all that. But, they're at least engineering it with some sportiness in mind, which is more than I think you can probably say for some competitors. And so, nice to have them toss us a bone like that, even if it isn't, an awesome RX-7 or anything. And they also, confirmed already there's going to be a plug-in hybrid variant, and they also said that that version will be a performance-oriented setup as well. So, again, just really good that they haven't forgotten about the enthusiasts. We'll see, whenever this stuff actually is officially revealed here in a couple of weeks, and once we drive them, in a few months, whether or not, that's just marketing speak or whether it actually is a really nice driving vehicle. I mean, Mazdas are always nice driving, but, be curious to see, is it actually going to be as sporty as they're claiming here? So we'll see about all that. But anyway, interesting to hear that. Aston Martin this week has debuted the DBS 770 Ultimate, which will be the final version of this generation of the DBS. But they didn't confirm that it's going to get rid of the V12 for a new generation. So it sounds like the rumors are suggesting we could still see a V12 live on, which is, I'm just glad they didn't say this was the end of the V12 here in this press release at least. But anyway, like the name suggested here, the DBS 770 Ultimate uses the same 5.2 liter twin turbo V12, does 770 metric horsepower, which equates to about 759 horsepower here for us, which is still 44 more than a regular DBS, while maintaining the same 664 pound-feet of torque as that regular DBS. So the engine gets a new intake, ignition system, along with 7% more boost. Surprisingly though, the top speed hasn't risen beyond the regular car's 211 mile/hour top speed, but the 0 to 60 is now just 3.2 seconds for the coupe, 3.4 for the convertible. But that's an impressive half of a second improvement, which is honestly shocking for just 44 more horsepower. And I don't think it even has really that much of a stickier tire setup. I haven't even seen anything talking about stickier tires. It's the same price, it's the stuff as you get on any other DBS, but they managed to cut off half a second from the 0 to 60. So Aston Martin also said they really focused on handling, adding more chassis stiffening pieces for about a 25% improvement in front and lateral stiffness and a 3% increase in torsional stiffness. It also has a new solid mounted steering column for better steering feel and a unique tune for the adaptive dampers and the ZF 8-speed automatic. The brakes remain the same carbon ceramics as the regular DBS, so I'm assuming that they were already up to the task of slowing down, you know, a few extra horsepower, and so that's why they just left those as is. And then visual changes, you can see here, you get a hood with these larger vents and the kind of U-shaped, you know, design to those vents there in the hood. You also have new bumpers, front and rear, unique wheels, and inside you can option up aggressive seats that look like they're from the Valkyrie or something. But even the standard sports seats get unique quilted leather, and Alcantara and Q customization stuff is available as well. So if you want to just have it like any other normal DBS inside, or you want to have something really crazy or super off the wall, you can have all that kind of stuff as well. Only 499 of these will be built, 300 coupes and 199 convertibles, and they're all sold out. So Aston Martin isn't providing a price, because what's the point? You know, again, they're all blank check buyers, I'm sure, just, you know, that are first in line for these things. And so they'll start deliveries of those, you know, DBS 770 Ultimates to those very lucky buyers in the third quarter of this year. And that is instantly being added to my dream car wish list. So very cool to see that. And we got an early look at the successor to the Lamborghini Aventador this week, thanks to Wilco Block and VeryX on Instagram. So they found patent drawings for the new car, and as you can see, they borrowed a lot of inspiration from the Cyan here, especially up front. The sides look pretty similar to the Aventador. Back end, somewhat unique, but also seems to take a lot of inspiration from the Centenario that debuted 7 years ago as well. So let me know what you think about the design here in the comments below. But, you know, I want to reserve judgment, you know, for when I see the final official pictures. But to me, it just kind of seems like they recycled a lot of, you know, styling cues. It's not the radical, fresh, new page design that I was hoping for and expecting. I don't know, just a little underwhelmed, honestly, with the way that looks. Especially just, I feel like it was a larger departure going from Murcielago to Aventador. This almost seems like this is just a new special edition version of the Aventador and not really a true next generation. You know, I don't know, maybe they're trying to cut some costs, and so maybe there's some Aventador bones underneath. I don't know. But I don't know, we'll have to see. Supposedly they're claiming that it's going to be a all-new V12. It's going to have a hybridized V12 this time around as well. And hopefully, it sounds like we'll be seeing the debut in March. So we'll have to wait, you know, for all the official details and official looks and all that then. But yeah, I'll be very curious to see what you guys think about that in the comments as well. Moving on here, though, we've got some good news for Mercedes fans this week. They announced that while they are dropping the CLA 45, it's because they're now replacing it with the faster S version. And so everyone gets the fast one now, including us here in the States, who previously we weren't able to get the 45S. We just were stuck with the regular 45. Now we're getting the S version, and that gives you an extra 34 more horsepower to that hand-built 2-liter Turbo 4 that now, amazingly, you know, does 416 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque out of a 2-liter Turbo 4 from the factory. It's wild. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat. And then if you don't need all of that, the CLA 35, which I just reviewed a few weeks ago actually, that'll continue to be offered, and that's going to be getting a new 48-volt mild hybrid system. The provides a new 13 horsepower boost, but it doesn't increase the total peak horsepower, so horsepower ratings are still the same as they were, before they added the system here. But a nice little improvement there. That should hopefully increase the efficiency. The regular CLA 250 also gets the same mild hybrid system for the 2024 model year 2, and also all these 2024 CLAs get a mid-cycle refresh, and it's subtle, but you can see there's new grills, bumpers, the wheels are different. There's also slight tweaks to the headlights and taillights, and again, minor changes, but I do like how they kind of switched up the taillights there in the back. It's a nice little change. Inside, they get updated software on the screens that now enables wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which is great. And you get Dolby Atmos support when you option on the Burmester stereo upgrade now. And so there's no updated pricing for these yet, but Mercedes says they'll be arriving later in 2023. So look out for those sometime later this year. Volvo this week has revealed some details here on the mechanical changes on the 2024 XC40 and C40, the recharge, electric versions. These are changes that Europe's getting first. We'll be probably getting the same stuff here in the States, but this is still just European specific details we have, and hopefully we'll have US details soon, but don't have them yet. So anyway, there was a report back in December that kind of gave us some info, but apparently this is even better than that info was, and so this is pretty cool. They're going to be dropping the front-wheel drive version of those models, which again we don't get here in the States. We only get all-wheel drive ones here, but in Europe they had a front-wheel drive version. They're now swapping that for a rear-wheel drive version. First rear-wheel drive Volvo in decades, so that's really cool, and they're all going to be faster too. So all XC40s and C40s get the newest electric motor setup here, which provides a 7 horsepower bump. Nothing crazy, but for those single motor versions, that means you have 235 horsepower now with the instant electric power, and all-wheel drive versions get a smaller front motor, but do still gain 2 horsepower total for a still very crazy 404 horsepower in a little compact SUV. I still think one of the best sleepers out there. I reviewed the pre-refresh version a couple of years back, and I mean 402 horsepower in something that just looks like a normal mall crawler, a little soccer mom kind of SUV, and it's blowing the doors off of a lot of really quick sports cars. And so pretty impressed with that little thing, and so it sounds like it's going to be even better here with a little bit more power and some other improvements. The other big improvement too is that the batteries are also improved, and so they now have better cooling for faster charging, and now it can charge actually up to 200 kilowatts for the big battery, which is the one we'll probably be getting here in the States, which is a nice speed improvement. I believe they did 150 before, so now they're up to 200, and so that drops the charge times by a good bit there. And also these new battery chemistries allow them to have 14% more range. I think it's also thanks to the better efficiency of those electric motors. And so the range bumps here, if it's 14% better here in the States like it is in Europe, then that could mean that the XC40s would be rated for about 255 miles of range once the EPA gets around to rating them. And so it would be a nice improvement from the 223 miles of range they have currently. So again, 255 still isn't the 300 plus miles of range everyone seems to want, but that still would be a very nice improvement for again an existing model for a little refresh here. And so yeah, there's no word on when we'll get the official info here for the States, but hopefully we'll get that relatively soon. Another quick little bit of Volvo news we have here is that Car News China is claiming that Volvo is developing a minivan for the Chinese market. Unfortunately, I wish it was for the world, because it'd be really cool to see a Volvo minivan, and I think actually a Volvo minivan would make a lot of sense here in the States as well. And so anyway, Car News China is citing a leaked presentation slide that Volvo's Chinese division recently presented internally, supposedly. And so Car News China is speculating that it'll basically just be a Volvo version of the Zeekr 009, which is a Chinese minivan already out in China. And so Zeekr is another company that's owned by Geely, who owns Volvo as well as Lotus and a bunch of other companies. And so that certainly makes a good bit of sense, and if the report is true, it'll be very fast and have a huge battery too, with a 544 horsepower dual motor setup here in these Zeekrs and a 140 kilowatt hour battery. So 544 horsepower in a minivan sounds like a lot of fun, and so another reason why it'd be really cool to have them bring that there, because that would be another crazy sleeper. You see this minivan roll up next to you, and then it's as fast as a C8 Corvette or something. It'd be hilarious. Anyway, anyway, so yeah, supposedly a close to production concept will debut in the third quarter of this year, and then these will be going on sale supposedly in China before the end of the year. We'll have to wait and see about all that, but it would be really cool if Volvo brought that here to the States. But anyway, that's as far as all the news stories. Lastly, I just want to give a huge thank you to all of you who are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we didn't have any new members join this week, but I wanted to give a huge thank you and shout out to JT for being a member now for 9 months. So I really hope you're enjoying the perks, JT. Thank you so much, though, for your support. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, for anyone else who would like to join, become a member as well, there is always going to be a link in the description, as well as join buttons here on the video page and on the channel page. But yeah, that's it as far as all the news this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe to keep these videos coming. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.